All right, so today we are going on a deep dive that might just change the way you look at a piece of fruit.
Or even life itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Big claims. Big claims.
But we're exploring this excerpt from a Chinese text. It's called The Restored Story.
Okay.
And it centers on something you wouldn't expect, a decaying orange.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we're talking like literal fruit here.
Yeah, like an actual, rotting orange.
Interesting. Oh, cool.
So what I think is really captivating about this is
Yeah.
it takes this really ordinary object, like we see oranges all the time, right?
Right. Yeah.
But it uses it to explore some really profound ideas, I think, about beauty, decay.
And even the biblical story. Like, there's some theological stuff going on in this, too, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, this isn't your typical, fruit of the day contemplation.
Right. Not just a snack. Yeah.
Exactly. So the excerpt kind of tells a story of an orange, just like a regular orange.
Okay.
And it's just, existing totally unaware of its future fame, It's going to be in this text, right?
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And it slowly rots.
Okay.
Like, that's what the excerpt is about, this rotting process.
Makes sense.
And so a photographer comes along and decides to capture this whole process.
Okay.
But instead of showcasing the orange in its prime, like when it's all beautiful and perfect and round and orange,
Right.
they decide to focus on its, what they call, ugly remains. Its death portrait.
Huh. So, like, really leaning into the decay, kind of celebrating it, maybe?
It's kind of morbid, I guess. But, I don't know, it's strangely fascinating.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fascinating. It makes you wonder what the photographer was going for.
Right.
Like, what's the artistic statement here?
Exactly.
And the text actually questions this choice, too. It's like, it's poking fun at the photographer a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like, why focus on the decay instead of the beauty of the orange when it was, in its prime?
Yeah.
It's almost like the text wants us to reconsider how we see beauty and value. Do we only appreciate things at their peak? Or is there something to be said for the beauty of decline, too?
I love that it's making you think about those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And it's all through this orange, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's such a simple image, but it really gets you thinking.
What stood out to me was how they describe the rot.
Okay.
They use this phrase, alien symbols. And I'm like, what are these symbols? Is it like literal, like some kind of otherworldly language?
Oh, interesting.
Or is it hinting at, a different cultural understanding of what decay is?
That's a great question. I don't think it's meant to be taken literally. It's probably more metaphorical, right? Like the text is referencing visual cues or a way of describing the rotting process that's just outside of our, normal understanding. So it's encouraging us to see decay through this different lens, maybe one that isn't automatically negative, right? Like we tend to think of rot as a bad thing, but what if it's not?
That makes sense, yeah. And then it gets even more interesting, I think.
Okay, lay it on me.
It goes on to suggest that maybe we should replace the word decay with restoration.
Whoa, okay. That's a big shift.
Yeah.
That's a total reframe.
Right. It's trying to completely shift our perspective.
It's challenging us to see the process differently.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where this whole connection to the biblical narrative comes in.
Okay.
So the text starts drawing these parallels between the orange's life cycle, from growth to decay, and the story of humanity. It's suggesting that the orange becomes this metaphor for us.
Okay, I see where this is going. So the rotting orange, it symbolizes humanity.
Yeah, in a way. So, like, the text interprets the orange's decay as the entry of sin into a perfect world.
Okay.
But it's not presented as, like, a punishment, right? It's more like a natural consequence of existing within a system of growth and decay.
Okay.
It's like Adam and Eve, right? They ate the forbidden fruit, and it opened their eyes to mortality and the complexities of good and evil.
So the orange's eventual return to the earth? That's symbolic of us accepting our own mortality.
Exactly. It's acknowledging that earthly glory is temporary.
Okay.
But even in that return to the earth, there's this sense of restoration. It's like the orange is becoming part of something larger. It's contributing to the cycle of life. The text seems to be saying that death or decay isn't necessarily the end, but a transformation.
That's a very different way of looking at something we usually find, well, kind of gross.
Right. We don't usually think of rotting fruit as, like, inspiring.
Yeah.
But this text makes it profound.
And it all ties back to this simple rotting orange.
Right. It reminds us that even seemingly ordinary objects can have these deep symbolic meanings. It's all about how we choose to see things.
This whole thing makes you wonder, what objects in our own lives might hold this unexpected meaning?
Yeah, what could we be missing?
Right, what's just sitting there that we see as ordinary, but maybe if we shift our perspective a little bit, it could offer us these incredible insights. Maybe that chipped teacup or that wilting houseplant. Maybe they have a story to tell, some deeper meaning waiting to be uncovered.
It's a cool thought, right? Makes you want to look at the world a little differently.
Something to think about, wouldn't you say?
Definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive. I hope you all found it as thought-provoking as I did. And next time you see a, less than perfect piece of fruit, maybe you'll see it in a whole new light.
I know I will.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah.